Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. Then nearly 40 million years ago, expansion started. Wait, the Earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool, Neanderthals developed tools, they built the wall, we built the pyramids. Math, science, history, unraveling the mystery that all started with a big bang. Hey! What's up, guys? So, for those of you who don't know, I had my weekend of science this week. I went to the Big Bang Fair at the NEC in Birmingham on Friday, and I went to Science in the Park in Nottingham on Saturday. I had loads of fun, it was awesome. And this video, I'm talking to you about the Big Bang Fair. So what is the Big Bang Fair? The Big Bang Fair is a science fair. It's massive, and it takes place at different locations across the UK. There was loads of stuff to do at the Big Bang Fair, like going to the BBC tent and popping a party popper in slow-mo, dancing with a robot to Gangnam Style, and even fitting in a pacemaker to an actual human heart. It was really cool. I also got to chat to you guys loads, and I got loads of your questions, so thanks. And this video is all about answering them. So, I'm gonna need a little bit of help.
Hello!
This is Farah, and she's an aerospace engineer. So we've got a pretty good coverage of science going on right now. Let's get straight down to the first question. So Michaela asks, how big is the world? The Earth is not quite a sphere. It's an oblate spheroid, meaning that it bulges at the equator, making it a bit bigger there. If you were to measure the circumference of the equator, you'd get a measurement of 24,902 miles. But measuring it from pole to pole would give you a circumference of 24,862 miles. So there's a little bit of difference there. The Earth is also quite heavy, at 5.97 times 10 to the 24 kilograms. How many of me do you think that is?
Like 3. So Bobby asks, how big is Jupiter?
Jupiter, I did a song. You ain't got one.
Is that from the Mighty Boosh?
Yes.
Jupiter is also an oblate spheroid, so it's bigger in the middle as it spins so fast. The circumference of its equator is 272,946 miles, which is over 10 times that of the Earth's equator. It weighs 1.9 times 10 to the 27 kilograms, so although it's massive compared to the size of the Earth, it's not quite as heavy because it's made mostly of gas rather than rock.
Eden asks, how big is the moon? I am the moon. Might boosh again. The circumference of the middle of the moon is 6,783.5 miles, around a quarter of the Earth's. Its mass is around 1.2% of the Earth's, at 7.35 times 10 to the 22 kilograms. So it's actually pretty tiny, especially compared to Jupiter. Sydney asks, why do we only have one moon and other planets have lots? This has to do with the formation of our solar system. The planets and moons were initially formed from small pieces of metal and rock, which drew more elements and matter to them and became larger. Closest to the Sun, the temperature was too hot to form planets. But as you got further away, there were more and more pieces of ice and rock to form seeds from which the planets grew. That's why the Jovian planets, which are Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune and Uranus, have lots and lots of moons, compared to the terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, which only have 3 altogether.
So Faith asks, how big are all the oceans put together? All of the oceans, seas and bays in the world amount to 96.54% of all the Earth's total water. That's 321 cubic miles of water put together.
I'm thirsty. Samira asks, what is the real meaning of science? A very deep and philosophical question, so I'm going to keep it short. The word science comes from the Latin scientia, meaning knowledge, and is defined as the knowledge attained through study or practice. In other words, we use observation and experimentation to explain and describe natural phenomena. There are different fields of science, most commonly split up into 3 main fields: biology, chemistry, and physics.
So Maria asks, how did the world start using the Big Bang? The Big Bang theory is the most accepted theory of how the universe started at present. 13.7 billion years ago, all the stuff that makes up our universe was concentrated into a tiny point, smaller than a pinhead. It got hotter and hotter, and then all of a sudden it exploded, and some of the energy from this explosion cooled and turned into matter. This then made atoms, the things that make up the planets, the stars, and us.
Next up, what makes the world go round? Asked by Scarlett. The Earth, along with all the other planets in our solar system, rotate around the Sun. But to understand why, we need to go back to the formation of our solar system. Our galaxy was formed from the collapse of a nebula, and as it collapsed, it started spinning. The Earth's rotation comes from when it was initially formed from this collapsed spinning nebula. It keeps spinning on its axis because apart from the tidal effects of the Moon, which work against the Earth's spin very slowly, there's nothing to stop it. This phenomenon is called angular momentum.
Amy asks, how did numbers get written in the Stone Age? Tallies made by carving notches into wood, bone and stone were used for around 40,000 years. Stone Age cultures used this method of counting for gambling, trading and personal services. These then evolved to written and recorded counting systems on small clay tokens.
Next question. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The age-old question. There have been lots of attempts to answer this, but I'm just going to keep the story short. The egg came first. To find out why, check out this video from the guys at ASAP Science.
What was here before the Big Bang? Now that is a great question and one that is still puzzling physicists today. We have lots of evidence that the Big Bang did happen, and we can measure the age of the universe using the thermal radiation left over from the event. But unfortunately, we have no way of knowing what there was before. Some people even think that time didn't exist before the Big Bang.
Jessica asks, why do we sneeze? Sneezing is one of your body's natural defence mechanisms to protect the lungs and the rest of the body from contaminants. When the mucus lining in your nose is irritated, either by foreign particles or by infections, a message is sent to the brain, telling it to activate the sneeze reflex to get rid of the irritants. And the expulsion of air from the body can reach a whopping 93 miles an hour.
Darshan asks, why aren't we allowed to go on gas planets? First of all, what is a gas planet? Gas planets like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune all have a small rocky core but are mainly made up of gases such as hydrogen and helium. The rocky core is tremendously heavy and the gravitational pull compresses the gas and creates lots of pressure. So this means if you tried to land on a gas planet, the intense pressure would squash you and your spacecraft before you had the solid rocky core to land on.
How long can you last without food? Great question from Tatum. For me, it's about 2 hours and then I get hangry. But the amount of time you can go without food differs on your size and metabolic activity. Generally though, humans can survive up to 21 days without food, as was done by Mahatma Gandhi.
Katie asks, how many times do you blink a day? The average person blinks about 15 to 20 times per minute. That's a whopping 28,800 blinks per day. We actually spend 10% of our waking hours with our eyes closed just because of blinking.
Sophie asks, are there stars in our atmosphere? Stars light up the night sky and they look really small, but they're actually massive and they only look small because they're so far away. Take our sun for example. That's a star and it's 869,000 miles across. Compare this to the Earth's atmosphere, which is 300 miles thick and it's huge. We just wouldn't be able to fit any stars in our atmosphere.
Bonnie asks, what are the average breaths you take in a day? On average, a person at rest takes about 23,040 breaths per day. However, when you exercise, your breathing rate goes up. This means that for an active person, you could take around 50,000 breaths per day.
The next question is by Josh, asking why we have fingernails. Fingernails are essentially flattened claws, distinguishing primates, including humans, from other mammals. Fossil evidence suggests that 2.5 million years ago, when humans started picking up tools, their fingertips also started to broaden. But whether fingernails are an adaptation to broader fingertips, or just a loss of claws, we don't really know.
Alicia asks, how many times can you break a bone? There's no definite number of how many times you can break a bone, however shattering a bone can break it up to 200 times. Your body is very good at repairing itself, so if you haven't caused any permanent damage and you give it enough time to heal, your body and your bones can repair themselves. And what's more, restored bones are usually as strong as they were before.
Magic. Melissa asks, how did humans learn to adapt to the Earth? The human body readily responds to changes in environmental stresses, which enables us to survive in most areas of the world. This adaptation process is also what has allowed us to evolve from single-cell organisms to the complex species we are today. This has happened through lots of different processes, like genetic change, which is caused by constant environmental stresses causing mutations in our DNA, which are beneficial and passed down through generations, and developmental adjustments, which change our growth patterns and development in response to these environmental stresses.
Kate asks, why do we exist?
That's very deep.
That is a very deep question, and there's a lot of answers to that, ranging from the Big Bang and the creation of the universe to the evolution of humans from single-celled organisms and us developing consciousness. We've already answered a few of those questions, so hopefully that helps, but if not, write to us again, write in the comments below if you like, and hopefully we can help you out there.
Our final question is a pretty good one. What would happen if the Earth suddenly stopped? If the Earth stopped spinning all of a sudden, the atmosphere would still be spinning at the Earth's rotation speed, which is a whopping 1,100 miles an hour. This means that everything not attached to bedrock, like rocks, trees, buildings, and even us, would be swept off into the atmosphere. Ouch. So that's all the questions that we got from the Big Bang Fair. Thank you so much for all of the questions, and thanks for coming to say hi. It was really great to meet you all. Lastly, I'd like to shout out to Keely Adams, my little Welsh friend, and Brooke. 6-year-old Brooke is amazing. She told me all about where light comes from and what photons are. She's going to be doing my job in a few weeks. I had a really great time at the Big Bang Fair this year, and if you're wondering what goes on there, check this out. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I hope I've given you some answers to what you wonder about. And thanks to my sister Farah for helping me give them. So if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And subscribe if you like this video. I'll be doing another video soon to the questions I got from Science in the Park, so if you ask the question, stay tuned. And as always, you can let me know what you're wondering about in the comments below or on Facebook and Twitter. All the links are in the description box down there. And if you fancy checking out something a little different, check out Farah's channel, Farah Fun. Click on her face. Thanks for watching.
Have a wonderful day.